We have this idea that everything lives on the internet, that everything is forever, but the truth is it's not. And we often think that, the past will always exist. The Parthenon has been in Athens for, over 2,000 years. It's just going to stay there. But we've seen in recent years with calamities and things around the world that nothing does last forever. And so with the work that we do, it's trying to make a copy and be able to preserve it in some way. Because I would love for us to be able to take extraordinary villages and buildings and physical items and hold on to it forever. But sometimes that's just not possible. But maybe a digital twin or a replica, we could do that. I love capturing the world. It's just been something ever since I was a kid. I was that kid who would steal their parents' camcorder and would make little videos. And then I got into photography and I was the person behind the photos. And so there's very few photos of me growing up, which is kind of funny, but I was definitely the one who was the documentarian, the one that wanted to show people these awesome places that I've been to and just share that and finding new ways to visually tell that story. As we go out into the world, what draws me is usually the location. But what keeps me and retains me in the moments were the people and their stories. And that connection that we have, it's so surreal that I can meet somebody who speaks an entirely different language and we could be in the bush out in Namibia, Africa, and then suddenly we make a connection because we both laughed over just something silly as like a cricket and eating a cricket. And I have just, stories upon stories of this where, we find these cultural differences all the time and we like to point them out, but it's really the pieces, the moments that we connect that I find far more interesting. My favorite moments when trying to connect cultures and time periods is I love the moments where I can go back in time. I've traveled to Mongolia, and if you go past Ulaanbaatar, the capital, all of a sudden it's like you're back with Genghis Khan. You see these riders just, on their horses, and nothing's changed in a millennia. And for me, it's, I feel like a time traveler, but who's out of time here? Me, them, or no one? And so time really can be relative, especially as we preserve that, because for many cultures, they've been doing the same thing for eons, and they should. I hope they continue their traditions. But then I think being able to come in with digital media and be able to protect it and save it, I think there's a wonderful document that we can do. For me, digital preservation, it's using all the tools at our disposal. Recently, it's been drones. For me, I work with my colleague and Jedi Master, Mike Harper, and he has done an incredible job with artifacts. So he's really good at getting high-resolution items of bowls and pottery and all these different things. Me, I wanted to go big. I wanted to see, can we do an entire building? Can we do a whole village? And so using drones, I'm able to fly and get 3D scans. Now we're able to do entire sites and be able to create a 3D replica that we can now put into a VR headset and be able to take people there. And I think that's the hook for me is not only are we preserving it, but we're creating an experience for other people to go see it as well. So back in 2007, I met Mike Harper. I was a student in the newly minted digital media program, and he blew my world away. And I was able to travel with him to Namibia, Africa, and we helped kick off a project of digitizing the National Archives of Namibia. That was the first time it planted that seed of digital preservation, but it also planted like this much bigger idea of, hey, there's a big world, you should go see it. And what's cool is that here I graduated and then I went off and did my career, and he said, hey, you want to come back and be an adjunct professor? And that led to a full-time position. And here I am, my first year back, and I inherited a project from him to take me back to Namibia, Africa, but this time as a faculty. And I remember stepping foot on what was familiar from 10 years previous and going, wow, this is so surreal. I'm now working with students to give them that experience that Mike Harper gave me. It's remarkable the impact that faculty can have on us. And to be that for any of these students and to watch them grow is so profound. I know for me as a student, it made a difference. It changed my world. It changed the whole course of my life, and all for the better. I couldn't imagine doing half the things that I do. And then now to be able to do that for students, to just give them like a taste of it, and to see that the beginnings, those seeds grow, is like extraordinary. There was a trip that we were trying to do in Tokyo. It was the best trip, and then COVID hit. I was devastated. But here we are, fast forwarding a couple years, and the students still wanted to do it, and they went back. They just went back to Japan and got to do the trip that we never got to do. And I just thought, they've graduated, but they made that happen. That to me is extraordinary. And now their world is continuing to change, and they've become lifelong learners. And I think that's the kindred spirits that I have to me as a student, but then me as an alumni, and be able to have that with them, to share it.